let you know when we're live.
Hiya, hello everybody. How are you? Thanks for joining me again. It's been kind of a whirlwind type of month. We with everything coming back into play now. You know, we're doing a lot of different things. Everybody's trying to get back to work, etc. So we've been kind of a little behind because every time we launch something, it takes a little bit of time, and we're revamping things, and we've got all these different things we're trying to actually achieve. We've got a whole new membership club which we're creating on the Sword Experience. We've got events that are going all over the place. I'm redoing our Colorado event again, probably with talking possibly beginning of July, beginning of August. Because it was sold out, so it's been really good, and hopefully you guys are getting out and about, doing a lot of different stuff because it's going to be a brand new world we've got, and we're not out of the woods yet, but and of course today is the best day because it's my birthday. Thank you very much. I know some of you said happy birthday. I try and forget them these days as you get past 20. It's something that I celebrate the birthday. I'm actually going to take a surprise thing for my son today because he's been wanting to go to a soccer match. He's never been to one, a real live one, so I'm going to try and take him there. So that could be kind of fun today. But we've been doing good on the Sword Experience, and it looks like production is beginning again. So fingers crossed. I just spoke to my brothers this morning, one in Thailand, one in London. The difference between the two, in Thailand, it's now because they were shut down. They didn't really have very many problems with COVID. They are now having a lot of surges of it, and so the bars are shut down. There's curfew at night. There's all that's still in place, and it will be for a while. There's no tourism. You can't get a shot in Thailand if you're a foreigner. Thais are not really taking the vaccine from what I hear, whereas in England everybody's gotten kind of vaccinated, and things are beginning to go back to normal, but there's still stores and restaurants stores are open, but restaurants are not doing the same type of business as they were doing before, whereas I spoke to a friend of mine in Monaco today, and they basically are back for a while. There are only 6 people at a table. You can go to the beach and do those types of things. So it's different in various parts of the world, and obviously some countries are in the red zone, some countries are in the orange zone, and it's not over yet, and don't think it's going to be over in the next 6 months or a year. It's going to be a lot longer than that. We're going to be taking COVID shots for the rest of our lives. It would take India, for instance. The Indian variant is very. The Pfizer vaccine does not work against the Indian variant. So what are you going to do? There'll be another vaccine coming out, and another, and another, and another. It's going to be. I think my friend said to me, he said, I think we've lost the chance to becoming herd immune in the world now because there's so many different variants coming out. There's the Brazilian, South African, the European, and now the Indian variant. So. Oh, what a lovely world we're living in. But you know what? Man has survived so far, and he will continue to survive, I think, and find ways around these things, although it will cost a lot, I think. But Colorado Springs, just came back from there. I had a little trip there, which I actually took a trip on Frontier Airlines, which was kind of interesting. I don't know if I'm going to fly into into Los Angeles again, not through Frontier, because they fly into a terminal, and then you get on a bus, and then you go take another 20-minute or 10-minute ride or whatever it is to the baggage claim. It takes you forever. It took me at least half an hour to get from, half an hour, 40 minutes to get from the plane to the baggage claim. It's like, wow, I thought they'd improved it. LAX is one of those airports right now that is getting renovated. I don't know if those of you in different cities are noticing a lot of renovations that are going on. Hotels and different buildings are being renovated. I think they're using a lot of money that the government has given them to actually renovate things. Same thing's happening with LAX, although that's been on the cards for a very long time. They are building a new rail system, a new train system coming into LAX. So sometimes some of the Parking garages are shut down. Sometimes you can't get from one spot to the next, and I'm not really interested in taking Uber because it just takes too long, I think, at LAX at the moment. So it's kind of a mess traveling, but so many people are traveling. I hear this weekend alone, 37 million people are going to be traveling. So go figure. That's quite a number. So or people that are going more than 50 miles away from their homes, because it is Memorial Day weekend and we're kicking off summer, as you can tell, right? Leonardo Bertorelli. That's a very Italian name, Bertorelli. Hello. Are we going to Rio and Brazil? Not at the moment. Whenever we go to different places, we try to do polls to see how effective it is to go to that place, because to spend the time, the effort to create my team to work on creating a sword experience event. That's location and photographers and videographers, etc. We need to have a certain number of people that it makes sense to go to a location. And we had a very great response from Colorado Springs that we just did. We had by the time we'd actually put the event on, we were oversold. We had a wait list of over 8 people, 9-10 people, and then opening up again, I was told a lot of people couldn't even get onto the event. So those types of events for us are very worthwhile going there, because the effort is rewarded, should you say, by the actual the business side of the plan, if you like. So for us to go to a place, we need at least 20 people to go to a certain area, and we have different people right now calling us and asking to go to certain places, and some people are coming up with ideas and they've got 10, 15, 20 people, and so we start considering going into those places. So that's one of our considerations when we put on an event. We are putting on our Cancun event. It'll be Tulum area, down towards Tulum that we're looking at, Playa del Carmen, and we're putting that on at the end of the year. So we haven't launched it yet. We're just finalising the plans. It's going to be kind of cool because we've got a lot of different things there that we can do, and that's what the sword experience is all about. It's basically about giving you an experience rather than just a bunch of sword play. Yes, you get that. Yes, you get to train. Yes, you get fitness. Yes, you get to work in a community type atmosphere. But I want you to sort of experience the area. So going down to Cancun or going down to Playa del Carmen, we are looking at the cenotes, which are, for those of you that are not familiar with the cenote, there's thousands of them, but some are absolutely beautiful. They're bodies of water that have been trapped underground, and some of them are on ground now. So they're huge pools of water, that crystal clear water that are underground. You've got some fish in it, but they're these beautiful oases in the middle of walking down the highway. Suddenly you turn into the brush, and there's this beautiful pool there, so you can swim and relax in those places. So we're looking at those things. We're looking at swimming with turtles, snorkeling with turtles, lunches on the beaches, as well as a variety of different things that we're trying to bring to that experience, as well as the sword work on the beach, and having a little bit of a vacation. So that's what I want to give people when we do retreats, and different retreats will be different things. We're planning another one for the following year. I'm not going to tell you where, but we're planning another one for the following year based on what we got back from a location. They said, well, we've got this and this and this and this. And I said, that's perfect for a retreat. We had one we were going to do in Ireland, which we will probably do again next year. We're going to try and do at least 2 a year if we can, because I think those are more fun. You get more out of it. And they're actually slightly easier to plan in a bizarre sense, because the amount of work that gets put into doing a 1-day retreat, it can actually just be a little bit more work to actually do a 2 or 3 day retreat. So, or should I say a 1-day event compared to a 3-day retreat. So there you go. I've got another question. What keeps me motivated to keep this SXP going? The sword experience is growing. It's not, just going. It's growing. We've got our online portion now. We've got our club area we're going, and we get people coming back. And what I just spoke about giving people an experience. It's not just a bunch of sword work. Yes, we have our academy events, which are specifically technically for people that want to learn the technical side of sword work, as well as the choreography side of it, as well as the fitness side of it. But the other ones are more about experience. So it's really becoming a totally different platform than I had originally thought of. And so I want something to grow and something that creates a kind of a community type of thing of people of like-minded. I mean, if you think about it, look how many sword movies there still are. And the sword experience is about movie side as well. You get to learn that portion of it. You get to become an action hero for a day. So it's kind of fun to be part of that. And people come back because every single one of our experiences are totally different. We just recently did one in Akron, Ohio, and it's going to be a silent movie. So we're going to shoot we've shot it, but the back portion of it is going to be like a Charlie Chaplin type of silent movie with different grains, black and white, all that type of stuff. So it's a different experience every time we go. So that's why I think the sword experience is continuing to grow, is because we're constantly changing all the things there, and people are hearing about it for the first time. A lot of people don't know about it. And there are people that like to play cosplay. A lot of people like to play the HEMA, the historical European martial arts. They come in and do it because it's a different type of sword work that happens. So it's not something that's just one thing and you do it once and, well, I've done it once, it's going to be the same. It's never the same. The people you meet are different, the location is different, the experience is different. So that's why we're kind of we're constantly moving forward and we're constantly trying to change it. Mark Powers, hello Mark, how are you? What major changes have come to productions? Are you talking about productions in the film industry? Because in the film industry, it's massively different. I mean, it actually, and last year while we were doing some calculations, because some of you may know I have a production service company in Europe, and we're in the process of looking at different things. The amount of cost and time and effort it takes for a production now is about 30%. So if you've got $1 million budget, you're adding about 300,000 to that budget to actually just service, if you like, the COVID requirements, which are made not only by state but by SAG and AFTRA. Things like simple things, and I've seen some where I was like, oh my gosh, that's going to make it very different. Which is, I saw things where the crew and the cast can't talk; they can't be in the same room together. You can't talk to them anymore. Part of my thing was walking around the crew going, hey guys, how you doing this morning? You cool? Well, I don't know if that's going to happen as much anymore. Things like craft service, which is where the snacks happen and all that. Everything has to be individually wrapped. Everybody has to be in a different room. It's all these different, so it adds a cost to productions, and it slows things down slightly. So it adds time, it adds manpower. There's got to be extras, for instance, on set have become very sparse because you can't have groups of people together. So you'd have to go to CGI. You'd have a couple of extras here. You'd have to double them up and then put CGI in to actually create a crowd. So there's a lot of things in productions that are now affected because of the cost of putting in COVID restrictions or COVID precautions. Sue Hassler says, do I have any birthday plans? Yes, I'm actually going to go today. I think it's funny. I don't know if you guys are the same, but when you got your family, your young kids are always, oh, we can do this. Shh, don't say anything in front of you. Like what's going on? Like we just came back from Palm Springs. My wife set up a couple of days in Palm Springs where we could just go and have some fun. And we went into a restaurant, and my wife said, take the baby over there. Go take him over there. So I went over there. I'm like, here we go. And so then my son comes back and he's got this kind of smile on his face. And I'm like, okay, should we go over there? And I sit down. And they've got this look like there's a secret going on, which is kind of obvious that they're going to get me a little birthday cake. And I'm just like, you guys are so obvious. It's just, well, you guessed it. No, you're just making it very obvious. So everybody kind of does this. And God bless. So today, I can keep hearing my daughter go, my brother said, have you got any plans? And she's like, I'm like, Okay, there's obviously something going on later this evening, and somebody mentioned, what cake do you like? Okay, so there is going to be a cake at some point. I'm not sure what it is, but I planned on taking my son, Royce, because he's never been to see a soccer game before, so I'm going to take him to the LA Galaxy. But looking online, they were $500 for 2 tickets. I'm like, I wouldn't mind paying, a couple $100 or whatever for tickets, but still, like 500. The ticketing company takes about $120 from the ticket. I'm like, I'm not paying that, so I'm going to just go to the box office. I had some friends that might have been able to get tickets. I don't think they've been able to, but it's ludicrous. So, and they don't make it easy. If you look at a lot of these places, they give you season tickets, not individual tickets. I've been literally trying for like a week, trying to figure out how to get one single ticket. I think you just have to go to the box office and hope there's tickets there, which there will be. But still, it's still a bizarre situation to actually have to do that. Any further information about the Cancun retreat? As I said, no. We've got this week. We're going to be looking at launching something or putting a pre notification out about it. Based on what we're going to be able to supply in the thing, which will be, as I said, cenotes, which are the watery holes, the swimming with turtles, and lunches on the beach, and visiting Mayan ruins, that type of thing, as well as the so we had to make sure we got all the costs, etc., set up, and the transport and all that, because you've got to transport, because I'm going to have, it's going to be a limited number of people. I'm not going to be opening up to 40 people. It doesn't make sense to do that. So, we will be launching it, and those of you that will get there first will be able to reserve your spot. So we'll have all of that out in the next... I'm hoping this week, but I do have Lakeland coming up. It's going to be kind of busy. I'm hoping to get that out this week. But we'll let you know on of course, the platforms, and we'll email those people that are part of different groups first, such as the Patreon members, such as the Musketeers, etc. But that's part of what we're going to be doing with our new we're calling it the Adventure Club, or the Adventure, we're not sure exactly, but it's the Sword XP Adventure Club, where you become part of the club. You will get all these things first. You will have the first dibs at signing up at events, at knowing about certain retreats that are happening, discounts on events, discounts on merchandise, all that type of stuff in this new platform that we're bringing out. We're just testing it this week. So as I said, we've been pretty busy getting all these different things together, as well as the fact, as I said, everybody said, well, okay, we're open now. You can now start putting events on. Well, we usually need 2 or 3 months, minimum 3 months, to actually advertise an event and make sure we get a good response. We've been putting them out in about a month and a half, and literally one after another. As you probably saw, there was a lot of events that had to come out all at one time. And right now we're all the way through to the end of August, pretty much. We've got one slot probably for a second Colorado Springs event, and we're 90% sure right now we're going to do it at a really cool location. I'm not going to mention what it is, but because anything can happen, as you guys know, anything can kind of fall through. So we're just basically trying to look at this location and see what's going to be going on there, and make sure we can actually book it. But somebody's asked, are there any places that I'd love to have a Sword Experience event that I've not been able to? Well, the funny thing is, I actually I've done a Sword Experience event in Edinburgh, but I'd actually like to do it somewhere further up in a real castle, like maybe Inverness, and do a trip, like again, another type of retreat there. There are loads of places I've not been to. I mean, but that's the great thing about the Sword Experience, that you could put this in so many different places that people have never experienced before. We're also talking about, doing it on the back lot of a studio, so that you actually get a studio tour as well. So there's all these different places that we can do Sword Experience events that are interesting. Of course, we've done Mexico. I'd love to go to South America at some point. Doing one in China would be great, but I don't know if anybody would actually, anybody knows about the Sword Experience or me in China anyway. So there's various places that would be really very cool to do it. Again, you also have to think of, I like to do sword experiences where it has a location that you can see and experience. Going into a room and just doing it in there kind of takes the whole allure away of doing a sword experience. So the reason I'm saying that is that certain times we have to be very mindful of what time of year we're doing it. You know, like you go off and you do a one in Seattle in December and it's raining every day, so you can't do it. Or if I went to the Sahara Desert, it's going to be way too hot to do it. So again, same type of thing. You know, I just came back from Palm Springs. I couldn't do one in Palm Springs for two reasons. One is it's way too hot during the day and it's way too windy at night. So it'd be hard to do outside except for a certain period of the year. So we have to figure that out. Yes, there are loads of places I still think would work for the sword experience. The southern France, for instance. I'm going to do another one in the south of France somewhere because there's some great castles and chateaus and great food and locations you can go to there. So it's really kind of the world's your oyster, really, in the amount of places you can actually go and put an experience on. And, you know, again, I'm trying to give people like a vacation as well. So it's kind of a 2-in-1. So you get to see, you know, something you haven't seen before. I've got another one from Larry Schwartz. Are we able to give us an update about going past the Patreon platform? Yeah, again, we've been working on that. And I've literally yesterday, I was finalizing the levels. We're just going to have 2 levels now, which are past what Patreon was... although what you have in Patreon, you're going to get that plus a little bit more, as well as, you know, we're also, all the videos that we created on Patreon, we've remastered them. We're going to redistribute them. Any Patreon members are going to get a massive discount if they want to purchase that. They're going to now be on our store. There will be points that we're going to be doing. So the format is going to shift a little bit. It'll be on our site now. So we've been building it, as well as a Highlander convention we are going to be doing online, and I'm going out to all the big names in Highlander right now. We're trying to get some of the people you've never seen before and bring them on to a live event online, obviously, because a lot of the time some are in France, some are in England, some are in Canada, some are in America, etc., etc. So we want to bring people in. So we're creating that one as well for August 21st. So that one is also coming up for another thing. What can newcomers to Combat Con expect? Well, Combat Con, those of you that have never been to Combat Con, it's a series of sessions given by different professionals, whether they are knife professionals, sword professionals, etc., that you can attend to each of these different classes that are given, as well as tournaments. There's like a HEMA tournament, and there's a lightsaber tournament from the last time I remember going. I don't know how they've created it now, as well as for the sword experience, we have 2 events that we're going to be having. We've launched the first one, which is our Academy event, and then there's a second one, which is our Convention Elite event, where we create a story. Those of you that saw the last Las Vegas Combat Con, it was about, I'm going to fight you, Highlander. So we had everybody. So I'm going to try creating another slightly different ambience in that type of story this time. So there'll be there's various, and then there'll be vendors. It's not as big as a normal convention. It's much more restrictive because I say restrictive. It's much more smaller and I'm going to say it's more direct towards the martial arts and the weapons portion, because that's why it's called Combat Con. So you can see a lot of different. So there's a lot of different instructors. I think Anthony DeLongis will be there. I think that. Who else? Keith Jennings, I think they will be doing a knife thing. I'm not sure as to all the people that they've gotten for this one, but there's that particular event is also happening. So have a look at it. It's a 3-day event. Plus you've got a little time to spend in Vegas, but don't spend all your money because they will take it from you. Sue Hassler, have I gotten an update on my tattoo yet? Not yet. I haven't been able to go out to a tattoo parlor. My wife was saying, what are you going to do? Because you've got to get Sebi on your tattoo somewhere here. So I'm like, well, maybe I'll just put it at the bottom. Tattoo artists will be able to do that. But, I had thought about doing a little update on that particular tattoo because I need to add 7 to it, who's now very demanding. He very knows what he wants, which is great. And I think he's going to be a left footer. He uses things with his left foot and sometimes with his left hand. We're like, I think you might be a lefty, which is actually great because I think left-handed people have a slight advantage over right-handed people because everybody's right-handed. So left-handed, you're coming at things at a slightly different angle. And although I do tease people when they come to the sword experience, I'm like, anybody left-handed? And a couple will put their hands out. I'm like, tough. We're doing it with a right hand here. Because the fact is, you cannot everything you do with the right hand in a sword, you pretty much can do with the left. It's the same cut whichever way you're going, except for a couple of one-handed moves which you would be doing differently if you were in a one-handed left-handed situation. But so left-handers are good. So anybody's asking me, have we got my jab yet? No, I haven't had it yet. I'm supposed to be having it tomorrow. What day is it? It's Monday. The first one I'm supposed to have. I'm still in two minds whether I'm going to get it or not. But this whole thing about variants now not being any good with certain vaccines is kind of. But I think it's smarter to get it. But again, the research. Everybody says you've got to get it, and I think the herd immunity portion of it is one of the reasons people are talking about that. And yes, it does help. But you got to realize you are not immune from spreading it. If you do get the virus, it stops you from being hurt, but you can give it. So everybody thinks, oh, now it's funny because I've heard people say to me like they want to take a photo or something. They say, it's okay, I'm immune, I've had all my jabs. I'm like, yeah, but it doesn't mean you can't spread it. So you've got to understand that it's not a fail-safe device. You've got to still take precautions. Those of you that care about other people, that's the key thing. So, it's a tricky world we're going to live in. We're going to be having digital wallets soon. You know that, right? Healthcare wallets. These are being developed, whereby all your medical records are going to be on a phone, and you're going to be able to. So, someone can hack your medical records as well. So they're trying to make them hack free. There's 2 or 3 companies I know that are developing this whole thing where your immunization stuff is all on one app, and you can bring it up, which is great, but it can also be hacked, which means all your private information can be hacked. So it's a new world. As I said, it's a new world, and we're developing constantly different things for our world. I just don't know where it's going to go in the next 10 years, because it seems to be that every 6 months something else is being developed, something else is new. Electric cars and autonomous vehicles. I don't know if you guys have seen. Have you seen the new Domino's Pizza? I think it's Domino's Pizza automated delivery services. It's a bot that basically drives itself around and delivers your pizza for you. This is the beginning of all the automated vehicles that are going to come out. Well, yes, we've got the driverless stuff now, where like Tesla has their automated vehicle. It's not totally unmanned. They will be. And all the cars that are being developed now are actually being developed with the idea of sitting in the back in a couch, reading your paper while you get taken to work. So that's coming. So our world is fast. It's changing so fast. So I don't know where it's going to go, but anyway. Next question was Alexander Kristiev. Any thoughts on the Highlander reboot? What Highlander reboot? I listen. This Highlander reboot has been happening for the past 10 years. I do hear rumblings that things are happening. I think sometimes they get a new director, a new actor attached to it, and it's going to be. It brings it back to life again for a little bit. But again, the money's going to be put down to make it. Do they have the money? Do they think it's the right time for it? Lionsgate have the reins on this one, so they're going to put down 120 million at least on that. It's not cheap. So it's a very different format than what we were originally accustomed to, the original Highlander was probably only a few $1 million, a couple of million, 2-3 million, because it was cheaper back then. But when we were doing the episodes, our episodes were just under $1 million. Now episodes of series are 3-4 million on an average most of the time. Big ones are 10. So it's a lot more money, but it is a lot bigger of an audience because the internet's brought us that. So the Highlander reboot itself, will it go? I don't know. Is it? Do I think it would be successful if it did? Yes, because I think it's a type of platform that a lot of young kids, people that are below 20 years old, don't know about. They have no clue. But the concept about the romance and the action and the history is still going to be all in that particular type of thing. Again, it will be how it's distributed. What it's going to look like. It's got to be brought up to today's standards. Today's standards of the Bourne Identity type action, which I believe it is. And I hear the script has been written and it's slightly different than what it was before because they're rebooting the original Highlander. It's not a new story. It's a same story. Don't know who's going to play the Kurgan, but anyway, So again, it's going to be interesting to see. Shall we see? We'll see. That's kind of how I look at it. Once it gets underway, then we can talk some more about it. All right. Are there any lefties that you know of in my ancestry? No, I don't actually. I don't know any lefties. My mom was never a lefty. My wife actually is a lefty. That's probably where it's coming from. It's not my ancestry. It's my wife's ancestry. So I think it's her side of the family, and my wife was actually very happy. Oh my God, he's going to be. I think he's left-handed. I'm like, well, actually, he's kicking with the right foot. I know he's picking up things with his right hand, but then he starts doing it with his left hand again. So I have no idea yet what he's going to be, whether he's going to be left or right. But I think he's going to be a lefty. I hold him up like this sometimes, and Royce will throw the ball to him, and he'll try kicking it with his left. He'll try going with his left first before doing his right. So I'm thinking, yes, he's probably going to be a left-footed or left-handed player. Left-footed, left-handed, whichever. They're actually at the beach at the moment doing surf lessons. Anything I'd like to do for virtual conventions yet that I haven't done in the past too? Well, again, we're developing the virtual side of it and we're bringing different guests in. It's still a young platform for us, and a lot of people still don't understand what they're getting in it. I mean, we try each time we do it, we try. Okay, should we open this side of it up? Should we try and do this? And we found a lot of errors that happened in the last one that we fit. There's much simpler errors than the first one we found. The second one is. It's a different series of things. Like we have David as our host. We're going to have at least 2 hosts the next time. If we have enough guests, we'll have 3 hosts. We'll try and bring that side of it. Then we would have, yes, we've had the different types of stuff that was on there, all the weapons and all that. But next time we might bring different things on there that you guys can also take part in. And I think a lot of people, what they weren't realizing was they were like, oh God, well, I want to see this person, but I can see that person. Well, every single presentation, not the vendor booths or the celebrity booths, but all the presentations were filmed and are available for 48 hours after the event. So if you miss one, you can go and see the other one. You can log back in and see the other ones that you might have missed. So you're not going to miss anything, which is totally different than you would do in a regular convention. You have to choose between going to this person or that person, even though you might want to see both. So it does allow you the ability to do that. I would like to see different things. I mean, like, if we do the Highlander convention, I might even bring the letters back between me and Elizabeth. Elizabeth might do I don't know if she'd do a fan Carter, if we would do an acting class, so there's different things that we're going to try and bring in, and we have another meeting this week as to setting it up. Right now we're out to a number of people regarding their availability, so that's what we're looking at now, and then we can format the actual platform itself. what are some memories I have from Tracker, and where would you have wanted to see the show go? Tracker for me was, I think it was on that cusp of going between what's accepted today and what it was from before. Before, I still think this is valid on any level you think of. Tracker didn't have a Bible to it when it started. In other words, you didn't know what this alien did or what that alien did. So I think it was getting a little bit, well, let's just see what happens and what aliens we can come up with, and then we'll figure that out afterwards. I think that was a mistaken approach. I think we needed to know what we were doing each week. And I think I mistakenly kept Cole too long in the I don't know how to speak type of thing. I think it should have happened in like two episodes and be done with it. But I was trying to make up for certain things that I thought was where we weren't able to develop how we were going to be developing it. I think that would be one difference. Now, where Tracker could have gone, I think Tracker, the thing about Tracker, I think if you look at human evolution, and I really wanted to look at it from an alien's eyes into what we do here on Earth. In other words, what are the bizarre things like kicking a ball around? Like why are millions of people so obsessed with kicking this round thing around and putting it into a net? That could have been a whole thing. I mean, yes, it could have been in a interwoven with the theme, which is catching these aliens from another planet. But there's so many different aspects of human culture and different cultures that we could have really explored, and that would have been, I thought, really interesting to look at what we do from another set of eyes. So that's really where I think it would have been interesting to take Tracker. And it was, by the time we had the 13th episode, we knew we were cancelled. So after that, it was just literally delivering the 22 episodes. So the last 9 episodes we had, I think it was 8-9 episodes, were really kind of, let's get this put in the can and get it to work. Although I never gave up on the work I wanted to put into it and make it look as good as it could. Although the very last episode we shot was we had 3 days to shoot it. Usually we had seven, so we only had 3 days to shoot it. And what they were doing was they were putting other clips from other episode in it, but we had 3 days to shoot. 2 days to shoot, I think it was. We had 30 pages of dialogue to do in those days. Usually, on average, you've got 7 pages a day. 9 if you're really pushing it. Right? Think about that. 32 pages, I think it was, we had in 2 days. So we were doing 15, 16 pages of dialogue a day of dialogue. The only way I could think of that was literally, it's when you do dialogue sometimes, going from this position to this position to that position, you can remember dialogue, because here I'm going to be saying that dialogue, there I'm going to be saying that dialogue, and there I'm going to be doing that. So that's how I broke my dialogue down. If I had to do it all in one, it would have been extremely difficult to do, because your memory associates a position for where you actually are able to remember that piece of dialogue. So if I was doing literally 4 pages of dialogue, 5 pages of dialogue, but not just hello, how are you, it was chunks of technical data that was going on, so it had no sequence of events in your brain to think of. And so that was really one of the most challenging experiences I had for doing any work, really, because it was so intense for 2 days, and as well as an action sequence in it. It wasn't just dialogue. We also had 1 or 2 action sequences to do in that amount of time, and so it was kind of testing, should I say. Joanne Rogers, do I do other martial arts like jiu-jitsu? What martial arts am I proficient in? I studied Hung Gar Kung Fu. I studied Shaolin Kung Fu. Along the way, I worked with a lot of other people. Along the way, proficient. Proficient. And the thing about today is that somebody can pick something up really quickly compared to somebody else. Who's more proficient? that person that's been studying for 10 years but hasn't really gotten it, or the person that picked it up for like 5 minutes and understands the moves and does it immediately. So I don't know where the proficient level, what standard proficient sits in these days, because I think belts are given away way too easily. And, I also think what I try to tell people, which is the idea of adapting to things, is very necessary in any martial arts as well. So if I just learn one specific martial arts like Kung Fu or Hung Gar, I'm only used to that type of action. I'm not used to being able to understand what a straight block kick is, or a disarm. Or today really MMA is really changing the face of martial arts, because it's now dealing with a whole different set of parameters, from grappling to standing up, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu. It incorporates all of that. And so, I just say I'm a student of various ones. I don't. That's why I never called it. I didn't want to call the sword experience a sword, whatever, because I only think I'm qualified from my point of view. From other people's point of view, I'm probably not qualified to do these things. So it's all. I don't need a certificate. All I need it for is for me personally. So the way I look at martial arts or anything is that I will work hard at doing that and understanding that. Whether I get a certificate or not, it doesn't matter, because it's only for me. It's not for me to show people this is what I'm at. So I've studied a little bit of karate. I studied kickboxing. I did Shaolin Kung Fu and Hung Gar Kung Fu and Choi Li Foot and Sum Yen Kin and all those different types of forms, etc. But, do I remember them all? Probably not at this point. They were great for me to work with. So I think, you really have to just work for yourself, not to prove a point that you've got, a certificate in any particular martial art. I like the movement factor of it. I like the defense factor of it. But that's pretty much what I have to say on that one. Faruza, will we ever see a follow-up to Slash of the Day? Yes, I want to bring Slash of the Day back. Actually, I was actually thinking, as I said, we've been so slammed in the past 3 or 4 months doing that. I did want to bring another Slash of the Day to the event, and actually I was going to actually put one out to you fans at some point, which I think could be kind of fun. People did like that. It was fun to do. It was, we put it together for you guys to watch, to have fun from all these different areas. We came from England, from Canada, Ireland, the United States, all these different teachers, and again, there's been a bunch more since that we've gotten involved with. So I want to bring more of that type of stuff to people and make it more fun. If you look at some of the others that are actually out there now, they're really heavy on production. They've got special effects and cars and horses and all that stuff. So, we will look at bringing all those different things to it maybe next time. But there will be one at some point. But right now we're kind of really slammed with all the stuff we've got to do. So forgive us for that one. Next one we've got, David is in the background. He's typing frantically at the moment. Benoit Garnier, any teasers for what's coming in the next training sessions? The training session, the next training session we've got right now, I'm going to be halting the actual training sessions themselves when we move over to the next platform. We are going to be looking at a slightly different format for that. The actual next challenge is coming out next week, and that's going to be 62 different sessions we've had, with about, I think it's somewhere in the region of about 17, 18 tips, something of that nature. We've got that point. So it's a lot of video content to put out, and we're looking at slightly changing that, but we've got to take a break for a minute to do that, because we've got so many other things we're actually putting forward. So we're going to look at how to do that, but there will be something different coming. I haven't totally formulated it yet, so I'm not going to speak out of turn. Elizabeth Hutton, what recommendations would I have for anyone to be wary about hitting someone at the sword experience? I've got insurance. No. You know, the thing that I constantly tell people at the sword experience, and this is why, and it's for people that have no experience whatsoever, as well as those people that do martial arts and those people that do HEMA or anything else. It's target, target, target. So we spend a lot of time working a number one, let's say. I know where I'm going to target the number one, and the person that's defending knows exactly where they're going to be defending a number one. So we only give the amount of moves that is comfortable for those people to use. So if I can see somebody that knows what they're doing, I'll give them a few more extra moves while we're doing it to learn a little bit more. Those people that are not quite so comfortable, I want them to get that portion of it done correctly. So there are very few times people get hit. They get hit on the knuckles a lot, occasionally, so a little bit of smack on the knuckles. But we're dealing with wooden bokens. We've had one time, I think somebody got cracked on the nose. It was one time, but I'm so diligent and that was actually happened in France. I'm so diligent with people not going overly aggressive with things. I want them to be action. I want them to feel like they're really involved in it, but I don't want them to not do it where their partner's not safe. So there's, depending on the amount of people we have 2, 3, or 4 instructors. Colorado Springs, there were 4 of us working through the 40 people. So 1 every 10 people. That means every 5 groups. So you can really see what people are doing very, very quickly when you have that level of attention to people that are doing the work. So I wouldn't worry about hitting anybody, because we really work you from the beginning, the minute you get there to the minute you leave, as to how you should do it, and not doing it too hard, or making sure your target is very specific. Priscilla Manriquez, hello Priscilla. Any details on what the Chicago Elite theme will be? No. No, not at the moment. I'm dealing with that this week and the week after. The Chicago and Pennsylvania we're doing. Philadelphia. We're looking at that. So we're working on those themes. I come up with them sometimes really based on the location, and I've got to get to that location right now, because again this week was busy with finalizing all the final preparations for the new platform, the retreat event that we have, and now next week I start with working on Pennsylvania and Chicago, and we'll let you know that I've kind of changed the way it works now, in a sense, because I kind of feel that I was almost doing what I said I wasn't doing, which was I was putting a theme on an event, like here's the moves you've seen in this particular TV show or film, and then saying we're going to theme that event like that. Now it's easy to do that in a convention because I have blank canvas to actually create a fight, whereas when I create an elite event, it's based on that location. Whether it is an abbey or a vineyard or a castle or a warehouse, I theme that event based on that. The one we did in Akron, Ohio was a beer factory. Well, there's not many sword fights that happen in beer factories. So how did I do that? I went and did some research on different things. I thought, what would happen here? Why would there be a fight in this? What would happen? And so from that point, then you create, it's this and this, and you do a little research. That looks like a good idea. So then you create the theme from that particular type of situation. And the Akron, Ohio one came from Charlie Chaplin's Modern Times. That's where I got the inspiration for doing that. The whole theme on that of this guy going in. We adjusted it for today's today's audience, in a sense, because back then he was for those of you who don't see Modern Times, you can see it on YouTube. He's at one point he's walking along the street, and there's a truck goes by, and there's a flag that's hanging off the back of the truck. And if you look very carefully, the little filament is hanging off the back of it, so that when the guy pulls the filament, the flag falls off the back of the truck, and Charlie Chaplin picks up the flag, and he's like, "Hey, you forgot." So he's waving the flag, but what he doesn't see behind him is all the workers coming behind because they're on a demonstration march, and then all of a sudden the police attack and he gets arrested. So we created the same thing in Akron, whereas this guy was actually, he's looking for hand sanitizer because he needs to wash his hands, and he walks up to the front door of these guys where they're on strike, and then the whole thing evolves from there. So it's a little bit of adjustment as to what we've got here and why we have masks on, etc., in our sword experience events, which have obviously been kind of a challenge to try and make it make sense when we do elite events. But so that's why it takes a while to actually figure out the theme. Sheshin Akido Chipman, hello. Do you find it easy to teach someone who has no martial art background? Yes. You know why? Because they are a blank canvas. Martial artists sometimes are harder to train because I've had this before. They say, well, I wouldn't do that in the martial art. I'm not used to doing that move. I would do this. I go, well, you're not learning that. You're not learning that. You're learning this. If I went in to do a karate lesson and I went in and said, well, actually in Kung Fu we do this. Well, I'm not learning Kung Fu. I'm learning karate. And so the thing is, with people that have no preconceived notion, they're easier to train in a sense because they're immediately getting involved in that motion. I'm saying, okay, go here, go here, go here. Move back with your feet. Don't step in. And the biggest consideration for that is when you have a martial art. Most of the time in martial arts, you want to shut it down as quickly as possible. Someone throws a punch, you come in, you block, you hit, and you're done, right? Whereas in film, you want to keep the distance so that you can continue to see that fight on screen. Martial artists then go, well, but that doesn't make sense. And I'm thinking, well, hold on a second. If you are in a martial situation, if you are in a bar and somebody attacks you here, you can't automatically go into that. You need to give yourself time, even if it's like a second or two, to adjust and figure out exactly where you can counter that attack. So it has its benefits in the fact that you can adapt easily to a different type of situation. And I think that's really what the key thing is about not having somebody that has no experience, is that you can give them a blank canvas and they say, learn these moves. And with the sword experience, I'm not teaching you how to use it with a long sword or a katana. I'm teaching you targets. I'm teaching you where you're going, how you move your feet, what you've got to do, and being present in the situation. That all applies in whether you're doing it for choreography or whether you're doing it for a martial sense. So that portion of it is that's why I think it's easy to teach somebody, because after I've taught them, here's the angle you're going for, you can go and learn different types of martial arts just based on angles, but the technique of creating that angle is different. So if I'm doing longsword, my longsword's coming here. If I'm doing katana, my katana's coming. I'm still aiming for that target. I'm still going for that one specific move. So I'm not competing with any martial art. I'm adding to what a martial artist would be able to do based on what their technique is, or whether a sensei or a teacher is teaching. I'm just saying, here's some things to consider when you actually are utilizing those moves, so you can go away and actually adapt them for your particular type of technique. How can someone living in the location of a sword experience help with an event? A lot of the time, when we go to an area, we do need people that help with check-in, help with wrangling people, maybe just help with maybe sometimes finding a location, or finding a dojo in the area that would help us with assisting. When we go to a different location, we actually talk to different martial art disciplines and get video back from them to see what their style is, and as well as what their proficiency level is, just basically because I want to make sure that the people I'm working with, not that they're a different style from me, but they have the level of proficiency I think is needed to assist me during these events. Because after that portion, we are really looking at this saying, go to this teacher and learn from this teacher. So I don't want to send somebody somewhere and say, well, you know what, they're not, go with them, but they're not really that good. I mean, I want to have people that know what they're doing. And I've had different martial art people from HEMA, from different disciplines help us. So that's one way of doing it. As well as the other thing is spreading the word. What we're going to be doing a lot more of now is a lot more marketing, which we really didn't do. We just had social media coming up. We're going to be doing press releases, etc., which in local areas is useful because it can go into the local what's happening this weekend magazine, that type of thing, or what's happening next month in Philadelphia or Chicago or wherever. There are places that people look, and not everybody knows we do what we do. So that's another thing people can help us with. So there's a variety of things, and if you're interested, actually our Musketeer program is part of that as well, and you get points for that, which you can transfer to merchandise, etc. So you can actually use those points to use them. So there's a variety of things you can actually do. Claire Grace Phillips, what would I consider some of my biggest achievements? My kids. My kids are my biggest achievements. I think it's really interesting because I think the one thing you've got as a legacy is the information and how you put on this planet the information out there to make it a better place, and that's really hard to do. That's really hard to do. All I care about is if my kids can achieve what they want to do and do it with respect and honor and put their mind and heart and soul into things. So to me, that would be my biggest achievement. I'm getting there with that. Career-wise, I always looked at my career when I was younger as this is what I need to do. I need my career. This is my career. But it's not about that anymore. It's about me now putting my effort into making sure that they get what they want in being able to do what I just mentioned. So I want to give them the tools to do that. Doesn't mean I actually say do it this way. I want to give them the tools that they will be able to do it. And my kids so far are doing okay. Obviously there are, the road, your path is never going to be smooth. It's always going to be rocky. You're going to fall off it. As long as you know and you have the ability and the tools to come back on that path and you move towards it, towards your goal, then that's all that matters. I mean, a lot of the time I think people don't understand that, what you dream of as a young kid, it will never come true how you imagined it. It's a horrible thing to say in a sense, because the fact is you have things that happen in your life as you move forward that make you have a decision. You need to go, you want to get a new job. Well, this job over here is going to give you $200 a week. Okay, I'm just saying $200 a week, but a percentage of the profits. This one over here is going to give you $600 a week and no percentage of the profit. Which one are you going to go for? You take the $600. You go off, you spend for a year, suddenly this company goes up, you could have earned $10,000 on this one, and you regret it. You can't. You have to say the decision you made at that particular point in time was the best decision for you. And therefore, you are the decisions you make as you move along that path to whatever it is you want to actually accomplish. So that's kind of how I look at things. And, do I regret certain things in my life? Of course I do. Oh, I could have done that. But I can't say, I missed out on life. Oh, I did it. No. Did my career go where I wanted it to be? No. I would have liked to have gone a different path possibly. But I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm other things will happen and they will manifest themselves in a different way if you stay positive and true to what it is that you believe, which is moving forward and creating something for whatever it is you want to create. Right now, for me, it's my kids. What is Seven up to? Okay, this will be the last question because we're going to have to wrap this up. Seven, he's walking everywhere at the moment. He is very demanding. Little Sebby's, he's amazing, and I guess maybe it's because he's the last one, and we've been through this whole process before. I guess everybody's like, "Oh, you're so brave having a kid at your age." I'm like, "Really? Thank you very much." I actually think it's actually easier in a bizarre way. Yes, it's still tiring these first 2 years. you know, getting up in the middle of the night. My wife more so than I, of course. But you know, I put him to bed every night. Like every night, I come home at 6, 7 o'clock. I feed him dinner. I help my wife feed him dinner. I then take him up to bed. I change him. I bathe him. I bottle feed him, and I put him to sleep. So for the next 2 or 3 hours, so I don't have time to sit down. I've got to then go and do the sword experience events. So I do all of that. But you know what I get out of it? You know, it's just the smiles he gives me and the progress that you watch. You know, he's really sort. I say to him, "You hungry?" He goes, "Mm-hmm." Oh, he starts signing now because we do sign language with him. Like this means more, this means hungry, this means water, but he's doing this with water. So we kind of get what he wants, and it saves all the drama. When you have a new child, the best thing to do is give them sign language for them to understand. You know, he'll come up and do a smack Royce on the head, and we don't go, no, take it, and you just do it gently. This is gently. So giving him that and seeing him understand that and start to do that is amazing. Because, you know, my daughter has a little dog, and little Sevy goes up and goes, whack! The little thing's like, oh, leave me alone. You know, and we're like, no, you can't do it. You have to go over. And now gradually he's doing that. And that to me is the best thing that is happening with him. And, you know, and this morning I woke up to come out here, and I got out of bed, and he woke up and he sat up in the bed, and he went, I went, hi, how you doing? And so to get that response is really a joy for me. Anyway, I'm going to have to get going. So because I've got to take my kid to soccer, and I've got to go and finish off a couple of other things. We're going to be, as I said, we've got our events coming up. Boston. We've got Lakeland next week. Lakeland's filling up nicely. We've got Chicago coming up. We've got Philadelphia coming up. Combat coming up. We've got Terrificon, which I'm not doing a sword experience at. I'm actually doing the convention. I don't think they're going to allow us to actually do a sword experience at the convention. So that will be just an appearance. That's upper Connecticut area. And then in December, we're going to start, putting some more together. We'll be looking at those very, very shortly. So that we can get some more sword experiences. But, you know, I'm also possibly directing a picture next year, and then another small one maybe in December. So, it'll be how we can actually get these events on my time schedule. And thank you, everybody, for wishing me happy birthday. I really appreciate it. My brother's actually remembered this morning, which is unbelievable, because it's the first time they've ever done that in years. But I had the whole family. So it's a really a great birthday to have. I get it to share it with you guys. I got it to share with my family, in Thailand, in Italy, and everywhere else, and that was really, really nice this year. So thank you so much for doing that, and I hope to see some of you at the Sword Experience events. And please look out for our stuff and share it. Share this podcast, because we are really sort of trying to this YouTube link to different people. We have our podcast as well. Those of you who have not heard our podcast, we have different people coming onto it. That's totally free. It's for you to sort of have a little fun on. I actually kind of like listening to podcasts these days because I get a little bit more information from them. So listen to that stuff from us, and I hope to see some of you at some of our events very soon. Thank you for sharing this day with me, and I'll see you soon.